through of broken lines from 2008 emerged deep within the multicultural surroundings of North London's Finsbury Park. This intrinsically British drama attempts to evoke the gritty realism that has become a staple of our modern national cinema. When the death of his father demands he returns to his childhood roots, Jake, played by Dan Fredenberg, is reminded of his Jewish heritage and finally must confront the demons he ran away from so many years ago. Jake, soon to be wed to Zoe, played by Olivia Williams, a caring and supportive fiancé, but his recent family tragedy has started to reveal the cracks of their seemingly perfect relationship. Jake's midlife crisis becomes the catalyst for a lurid affair with B, played by Doralee Rosser, a disenfranchised waitress working in a working men's cafe round the corner from his father's old shop. B, however, has her own domestic troubles, with her life little more than a mundane series of events consisting of nothing more than her humdrum job and caring for her recently paralysed husband. Chester, played by Paul Bettany, a former boxer who now relies on her support but who finds it difficult to accept his dependency. All four characters are thrust unwillingly into a downward spiral of deceit and betrayal with little chance of salvation for anyone involved. The film opens up when we're at a Jewish burial site and the man, the lead character, whose father's being buried, and there's a rather unsavoury incident where he frantically pushes the earth into the hole onto the coffin in a frantic way, almost as if he wants to be rid of it, get it all over with. Then we see him in a cafe, and it's a very sort of working class type of environment, and there's an incident involving two local lads who I guess have tried to leave without paying for their food. It's a sort of a typical sort of cafe really that offers breakfast through lunch, cheap prices, canteen style, and he orders bacon sandwich, and then somehow it ends up on the floor, and he touches the waitress. There's a sort of physical contact. We witness the engagement party between Jake and Zoe, and everybody expressing their condolences at Jake's loss. And then we switch to the house where we meet Chester, played by Paul Bettany, who's paralysed, and the waitress B, and a person comes to the door called Lucas, and Chester gets very sort of irate within, and he clearly doesn't want have any contact with this guy. But it become I wasn't clear as to why. The plot sort of once again leads you to need to interpret. I'll have another look at it. It appears that it's possibly B's father, and Chester is ashamed to let him see him in his current physical state. Doesn't quite make that much sense to me, but I couldn't quite pick up the dialogue accurately. As this movie develops, we basically see a collection of people all of whose lives are broken, Jake's parents were separated, and he feels extremely angry at his mother, who's found a new man. Chester feels bitter about the fact that he's in the state he is. I suspect that the person who came to the door was somebody from the boxing club, which he was a member of. We see an attempt at a sort of intimacy between B and Jake at the Greyhound track, which is short-lived. B loves Chester, but she needs more, and he feels that he can't have sex anymore, although he's been told that he could, but he's frightened of failure, I guess. And they're all tragic characters, really. And they want to change the past. Of course, they can't do that. When B and Jake start their little affair, it's all about lying about where she's been to Chester, and then one night he spots her from the window with Jake on the corner. Subsequent to that, he sort of tries to drown himself. Bettany's very good in this. Also, I want to note that there's a very brief appearance by Rita Tushingham, and I think she's a work colleague of B's. She looks remarkably young, but she must be at least 65 in this movie. When Tushingham's character suggests that she'll look up, keep an eye on Chester, so B can go out, he then loses his cool with her, tells her to fuck off, and then decides to batter his head against the door frame, and it's almost as if he's trying to get a broken skull, reminding him of his boxing days. It's quite disturbing to watch. Once again, bitterly. This film sort of peters out. B is very much a stopgap as Jake breaks up with Zoe, and then they meet up when he's found a new beau. As for B, we might presume that Chester died, but it's all pretty vague. Yeah, it's not one to be watched more than once, I think. Good performances by Bettany.